Good morning, everyone.
It was so dramatic.
And welcome to a very sleepy, very tired dev chat
Yeah.
for today,
Yeah.
sometime in August, just after Gen Con.
Man, that Eastern time zone.
Woo!
No fun.
I will yawn sometime during the stream, and I apologize in advance.
Yeah. So we're here. We've all just got back from Gen Con, and we wanted to have a dev chat to talk to you about Gen Con and all the cool stuff that happened there events-wise.
Yep.
Talk about the Riot Quest demos, show you some new stuff for Riot Quest, talk about the narrative event, talk about all the really rad Monpoc stuff that went on, and talk about the Masters finals and actually talk about the winners list, who was in the finals, you know, Chuck and Aaron's list, and kind of go over there. Because this was our first snapshot at the post-Oblivion world, right? Of like what the list looked like. But we'll get into all that. So we're live on Facebook and Twitch right now. Join us for the next 30 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
And we're gonna chit chat. Sound good? I'm Will Hungerford.
Oh,
I'm the lead developer here at Privateer
We have
Press.
names.
you have to introduce yourself now.
Read your name to him. Read my name to him.
This is Will Oz Schoonover,
Thank you.
and he is the
Appreciate it.
development manager at Privateer
Appreciate
Press.
Hi, I'm Jeff Olson. I thought you were doing my introduction. I'm the playtest coordinator here at Privateer Press.
I love it.
I have a hard time reading this word backwards down here on the screen in front of us, so I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're better at reading backwards.
It's all good. It's all good. Okay, so let's talk about the stream schedule. It is still a thing. We stream Wednesdays, Thursdays, 10 a.m. Pacific. Dev Hangout, like what you're watching now. Get your paint on. Look for some possible revisions to Dev Hangout in the near future because we've got a lot of different stuff to talk about and then probably some different ways to approach it. You know, it's mainly, this used to be the CID show, but we'll be talking about far more than just CIDs and War Machine in the future.
Yeah. We'll be talking about the next CID when it happens.
Yeah, of course.
But we're not just going to be talking about CID.
With CID slowing down, there's going to be a lot more topics to cover. And then, of course, the staff showdown, which we do monthly, and the next one, I believe, is going to be a multiplayer game of Riot Quest.
Yeah, we're going to get a bunch of people on here for Riot Quest.
Yeah.
Shenanigans are going to happen.
Probably do 3 or 4 players.
8.
So,
No?
all of you in chat, I see a lot of questions coming, and I want to let you know that we are going to talk to all of you. Obviously, we have some stuff we have to talk about as part of the show.
Yeah.
But we will try to answer people's questions as much as we can. Like Frothy Cat said, nobody got con crud. That's awesome.
Not
I
yet.
actually didn't get con crud.
I usually come in like a few days after the con happens, but I was also very diligent. I was vigilant during the convention.
Yeah, that helps. Also, Harry and Izzy shrimp cocktail helps really blow out the sinuses and keep you nice and healthy. So it's medicinal.
And I didn't do demos all weekend long, so my voice didn't go as crapped out as it usually goes.
Yeah.
So normally after a con, I sound really bad, but it's not sick. It's just I have no voice because I'm talking
you've been
for 8
talking
hours a day.
nonstop.
But yeah.
So before we jump into things, let's go over the news. We've got the mini crate models to talk about, including a couple that changed while we were at Gen Con.
Yeah.
Wow.
So for War Machine and Hordes, we got the Shield Sister of the Order of the Wall. Badass model people have been looking forward to. Got to August 19th on that one. The Bride of Arcadius is the VIP model, and this is the last shot at it. August 19th, it also changes. But there's a new Legend of the Five Rings model, Doji Hataru.
I have not seen that model yet. That model is sweet.
Yep. That one just replaced,
The crab guy.
I can't remember his name.
Yeah,
Hida Kasada. Thank you, Tony.
Baseball bat guy.
So Doji's the new one. Got till September 5th. And Shoshuru is still the VIP model, available if you sign up for 6 months. You'll get it in your next shipment. And big news, this is the last week for the Savage Mini Crate to get your Dark Agnes. So if you want to pick up the works of Robert E. Howard's in physical miniature form, Dark Agnes is available this week, August 12th. She changes.
But that King Conan's the VIP model for a while now.
Yeah, well,
This-
for the
this
whole
is the very first month.
for the whole 6-month cycle, right?
Yeah.
There'll be, but don't wait.
No, there's no reason to wait.
There's no reason to wait. But we will see the next model in the mini crate line next week, right? Also, reminder: the Monpoc My Store contest is coming towards its end. You've got what?
10 days?
Yeah.
This is, oh, no, wait. This is the 7th.
8 days.
I was going backwards in time there for a second. Yeah.
So if you want a chance at making your game store into an actual physical model that people will play with in Monpoc, go to privateerpress.com, check out the contest details, do the hashtag MonPocMyStore, and take a shot. You got nothing to lose except for possibly your store being crushed by kaiju.
I had some fun conversations at Gen Con with people where I was talking about like, yeah, what's your store? What's your store? What can we do with that? And one of them was like the Louisville game store or whatever. That's the name of it. It's like in Louisville. It's a game store. It's in a strip mall. So we're gonna do something really interesting with the store, either its location or its name or the physical building, and we're gonna make it like cool and interesting. But we're not necessarily just going to make an exact copy of, like, if your store is in a strip mall and it's just a couple of glass windows and a door. We're not going to make a super boring little weird strip mall. So we're going to have fun with it.
Yep. Aeronator Gaming says, my CyberCon came with 2 left arms. How can I get the other arm I'm missing? Well, Aeronator, we are sorry for a mispack. They happen. You can contact front desk, one word, no spaces, front desk at privateerpress.com. That goes directly to our customer service team. Let them know what you received and what you're missing, and they will get you your missing parts.
Yeah, there's also a form you can fill out on our website that sends that email for you.
Yeah, but our apologies that you got 2 left arms. Keep that extra left arm. Maybe put it on his head. Maybe use it as basing. Whatever you feel like doing. So, Gen Con.
Gen Con.
How was your Gen Con?
Let me see. Tiring.
Yeah.
How was
But
your,
it was Gen Con.
how was your Gen Con?
Gen Con's always a lot of fun. It's like the biggest one in the States, like as far as like analog gaming goes.
Easily, yeah.
Maybe only beaten out by like the Eschenspiel or whatever.
That one's
yeah,
really
that's really
huge.
big.
And so it's always really cool to see like just massive crowds of people lining up at like their favorite booths and like getting games and playing games and having a fun time.
And it never stops, right?
Yeah, yes.
It's literally 24 hours, 4 days of gaming. People are like, I was walking the halls one night like at 2 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
And there's just people
Yeah.
playing Werewolf and like RPGs and minis games and just stuff everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and me and Travis were up till 3 a.m. one morning just hanging out.
I don't think anyone can ever truly appreciate
Playing Riot
how
Quest.
big
Oh,
Gen
no.
Con really is.
No, it's
Like
massive.
it's this huge, giant convention center. It's all of the neighboring hotels. Like there is a role-playing event basically going on in like a conference room,
Yeah.
right where you get off the elevator from our hotel.
Yep.
And so every morning at like 7 a.m. I'd get up and they're already setting up for the day, and I'd come back to the hotel and they're still going strong. It's just like it never ends.
Well, and in the stadium, the football stadium, Lucas Oil,
oh yeah, and there's also a football stadium.
the whole ground floor, like the field, is what in most cities would be a really big convention.
Right.
Like if you were just in middle of nowhere, like Des Moines, Iowa, and you had that many
That's where I was
people
born.
in. That was weird. If you had that many people in a convention center, that would be a pretty big convention
Yeah.
for mid-level cities in America. So there's millions of things to do, and you can't see all of it because
No.
it's everywhere.
Like there was like an arcade there that I had no idea was there, and I didn't even know how to find it.
Billy Mitchell was there.
I saw Billy Mitchell. Yes,
playing against other people.
Yeah,
But
there are 2 arcades.
Yeah,
there were 2
There's
arcades.
just
A weird hallway arcade that's
Yeah.
a 45-degree angle.
But we were there.
We were.
And what we had going on was Oblivion dropped. We had our booth set up, the pre-release of Riot Quest, and the first wave of miniatures. So the starter box and the first 6 heroes came out. We had brand new Monsterpocalypse. We had Sergeant
Yep.
Titanicus, including the beer model. The Ram model was there.
Uh-huh.
We did the Ram party, the keg tapping, where we took over the Ram for all of Gen Con. We changed the menu to be all privateer pressified, and they had 2
Yeah.
drinks this year.
Yeah.
They had the Big Red Ale, and then they had the Oblivion cocktail, which came in a glass with the Infernals
Yep.
logo on it, and they put dry ice in it. So as it came out, it was bubbling. It was a strawberry Long Island, and they were delicious. And after
Yes.
3, they just got more delicious. So
Yeah.
those were great.
unfortunately mine disappeared from my room after it had been serviced. And
The glass?
yeah.
Oh, that
Womp,
sucks.
womp.
Yeah, and I'm probably next time we live stream, I'll be wearing my Sergeant Titanica Ram shirt. It's in my laundry piles, hidden away somewhere.
Yeah, it was really like there was the shirt like you
Yeah,
got. There was
yeah.
the growlers, and then of course, in addition to all of the cool stuff, we had the new booth.
Yeah.
That set up. We were doing tons of demos nonstop, and then we had events. We have our separate event space. So there was multiple War Machine tournaments. There was the War Machine narrative, Monpoc tournaments, Monpoc narrative, and then Iron Arena. And there were people playing Riot Quest after, like they had gotten
yeah,
their boxes
yeah,
and
yeah.
played it. So we want to talk to you a bit about our Gen Con experience. But before that, Getz is in the chat. And I just want to say, hi Getz, I love you, I miss you. Why did you move so far away? Please,
I have
Please.
a special.
please.
I have a special gift. I have a special gift for Matt Getz. I found this recently.
What did you do?
So there was a mistake recently in the Twitter feed. Someone called the wild boar we got Kevin Bacon in the Twitter feed. That's not Kevin. This is Kevin Bacon. This pig. This is Kevin Bacon. obviously.
Hold him up to the side here. He's like a ninja.
Oh my God, he's green. He doesn't show up on the green screen. Nobody can see him right now.
He's the Hollow Man.
No, that's amazing.
Kevin Bacon.
I just realized that nobody at home could see him.
Yeah, that's the point. That's the point. If you could see him without the camera, he's green.
He's in complete.
put him in front of like
So
your
like
hoodie, maybe?
right now,
Yeah.
there's no pig there, but then in front of my face, oh, there's a pig. It's so creepy. Yeah, there you go. That's for you, Matt Getz.
I had no idea you were about to do that, and I'm so happy.
Oh, that's why I had him on the floor under the table. I bought him last week, or before Jim and I hit him in that box up there, and I was like, and Kevin Bacon, Hollow Man Pig, happening on the stream. Okay, cool. Done.
Let's talk about what happened.
Yeah, let's talk about stuff. So what was we got some pictures to show?
What are we doing?
Yeah,
I'm blacked out.
Yeah, let's talk about our experience at some of the events. So, one of we ran 2 of these. I want to start off talking about the narrative event that occurred. So we ran 2 War Machine narratives. They both sold out. Ran one on Thursday and another one on Sunday, and they were 8v8 mega battles, like we did with Boar's Gate, like we did with the I want to say Skyship.
Yeah, Skyship.
At Lock and Load.
Yeah.
And the narrative we told was a town in the middle of this little village in the middle of the woods that the Infernalists had been prepping to open a portal, but the Order of Illumination had found out, and they had built 3 beacons inside 3 of the buildings that were sort of null zones that shut down infernal summoning. Yeah. So one team was representing the Infernalists. They had come to get to these magical beacons and break them, while another team represented people hired by the Order of Illumination, and they had come in to protect them. It played for exactly 4 rounds. Each team got 20 minutes a turn, so the event itself didn't take very long. And like all of the narrative events we run, everyone gets a plot twist, which is that once per game, a player can call up their plot twist and they come describe to me or whoever the GM is at the time a narrative thing they want to do, which is outside the rules of the normal game. And we sort of on the fly develop a rule for it. Sometimes it works exactly how they want. Sometimes they have to make a roll to see if it works. Like if they want something really powerful, we'll often make them roll. If it fails, something bad happens.
Did that water tower get knocked down in both games?
So
I would walk by and I would just see buildings laying and things having shifted.
Man,
in crazy ways.
people love you. Y'all love using buildings as weapons when we do these narratives. So one of them, Sorsha had walked up and used her plot twist to have like a really powerful ice effect, and she was standing in front of the windmill. And the guy playing Crucible Guard on the Infernalist side was like, I want my Rayless Interceptor to ram the windmill and knock it over.
Yeah.
So what we did was we took a deviation template and we set it down so it was basically the 1, 2, and 3, and he could orient it any way he wanted to. And then he rolled a D3, and that indicated which way it fell.
Yeah.
So there's a chance it might have fallen on his own guys, a chance it might have fallen on his guys, and a little bit of the other guys. And then one of the results was exactly where he wanted it, and he rolled that one. So it landed on Sorsha, and there was a damage roll involved, but it didn't matter. It just crushed her to death. So then we broke, the windmill piece comes in 2 pieces.
Yeah.
So we separated the 2 pieces and then like scattered them across the battlefield, and they played the rest of the battle with the windmill in pieces.
Yeah.
But another fella, the water tower, he had his griffins use his plot twist. They flew to the top of it and grabbed it, and then Kaya feeded. So as they were holding on to it, they teleported back.
Nice.
And it also fell over and then accidentally crushed most of his own guys.
Yeah. I like that event a lot because it gets people to stop and ask what's going on.
Yes.
Because often when you walk by a tournament or something at Gen Con, you're like, well, that's obviously 36 people playing some event.
Sure.
But when you walk by that thing and you see 16 people, 8 on each side, standing at a table, and they're talking to each other and kind of yelling, and then all of a sudden you hear about like a building exploding or whatever. I was kind of floating around running Montauk stuff while you were doing that a little bit, and I got to explain to people the ins and outs of the basics of War Machine and how much fun it could be, because they would stop and they'd be like, well, what is this thing happening right
Sure,
here?
yeah.
It's so big and crazy and different than just like, I have a 4x4 and I'm playing you, and I have a 4x4 and I'm playing you. So yeah.
And the thing is, the whole, like, even though it's 4 tables, you can go between different tables. It's your team versus the team. So plot twist of the narrative campaign, of both of them, goes to the Wanderer player, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He's actually in chat.
Who used his plot twist to set up a road marker 8 feet away.
Yeah.
And then we let him just teleport him and his battle group. He left his infantry behind, but him and his battle group just bamfed across the table. So he was still playing infantry on one end, battle group and Wanderer on the other end. And it's funny because I was talking to the Signar player he was fighting against, and he was playing Striker 3 and a bunch of Cav, and he was like getting ready to run up into the Wanderer, and all of a sudden he just bamfs away, and he's like,
vanishes.
what the hell?
Yeah.
And so he turned and had to like veer, and look, he's playing Cav, he was really fast, but that was really funny. But speaking of narratives, you had a Monpok narrative too.
No, I didn't.
I thought you did.
I took it. So the Monpok narrative map thing that we had at Lock and Load, I took it with me to show off.
Oh, you
But
were showing it.
But we didn't have it scheduled, so I just had it there to show people. Because, like I've been telling people, that is like a stealth playtest for a possible like organized play thing or a campaign product in the future. So I want to get lots and lots of feedback. So yeah, I had the map out and I was showing people the cards and stuff, but the schedule didn't allow for that to happen this year. But that is something I'm going to talk about in a slight way. This year we had 3 Monsterpocalypse tournaments, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Okay. And then free play on Sunday, because most of the time people leave. Like people leave early on Sunday. So we on the schedule we had scrambles just in case. But there was just some Iron Arena games of Monpok going on Sunday.
Sunday's Gen Con, like you said, they're weird, right?
Yeah,
They're not weird, but like a lot of people are like, you're tired or you're leaving or you're drunk.
And one of the things Travis and I talked about, like we always talk about, is how different events went and what people are looking for and that kind of stuff. So expect at future shows, maybe Adepticon will be the first one we try it out, but also at Gen Con next year in Lock and Load. We're going to mix up and try some crazy like
narrative stuff,
8-player team games of Monpok where everyone has a monster or things like that. We'll bring the map campaign back and those kind of things. But we're gonna be playing around with, well, there's tournaments you can play in Monpok, but we also want to do some things that are a little bit more like that War Machine narrative, where you can let loose a little bit more and do even crazier stuff because of the team composition.
Well, that is a spectacle, and I think that the reason we see these kind of events being so popular is because big tournaments are cool, and you get to play against a lot of people outside your meta and see like what's strong, what's not. But if you're not necessarily a competitive player, you can get a tournament at a local store, right?
Yeah.
But like a big spectacle event, like a narrative and stuff like that, is a thing to go do, right? And so, the more of those we run, I think that's servicing more players overall. That's not saying the tournaments are going away.
And every time we run one of these narratives, because I've done Company of Iron ones at Adepticon, and you've done them at various shows, we always get those players who are like, I haven't played for like 6 months because my life is crazy, but I want to play in this. And no one's ever like, oh, you don't know the rules well enough. I don't want to play with you.
Yeah.
Like you don't get those kind of experiences in these narrative events because everyone's there to have fun. And if your opponent is like, what was that one thing, that one rule? Like I can't remember exactly. Your opponent almost always is like a really good sport and is like, don't worry, it works exactly like this. Yeah, like you did, whatever you rolled was good enough. Like my defense was as low. Like
that happened in the War Machine narrative. We started off by saying there are people on your team and people directly across from you that are new. We had people playing that was their second game of War Machine.
Yeah.
And we're like, help each other out, measure things for them. We banned laser sights from the narrative event. I was like, we don't just no lasers. Like we just don't need them.
Yeah.
Now it was a joke ban. Like people can obviously play with them if they want to, but it was like, it's not about that, right? It's about us telling a story. Like it doesn't matter who wins or loses. Like we're just here to have fun. So narrative events were super cool, but also we were running demos nonstop at Gen Con.
Demos nonstop.
And one of the big ones,
those happy demo people.
I love John Galvin so much. That man is a saint. Was the Riot Quest demos. So we were running Monpok, Riot Quest, and War Machine. And this is a year where the demos were popping off non-stop. Riot Quest demos were 4-player demos, and they were constantly full.
Yeah, and you guys were playing full games. You weren't just saying like, everyone move a model, roll some dice. It was just 4 people sit down, play a game of Riot Quest because it takes a significantly lower amount of time than, say, a full game of War Machine or something like that.
I also think Riot Quest is the kind of game that benefits from a full demo. Some games, like, you can play and you're like, boom, 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 I get my little, like, quick. But, like, Riot Quest is a game that, like, the chaos ramps.
Yeah.
And I think feeling that ramp of, like, okay, here's the base mechanics. And by the end of the first round, everybody knows the rules.
Yeah.
Like, they're making their decisions. And, like, Tony, our video producer, is behind the camera. Tony, you spent the whole show demoing Riot Quest.
I did, yeah.
How was your experience, and how did you like it versus demoing other games you've done in the past?
It was definitely my favorite of the demo experiences, easily. But it was demo after demo after demo. So between each game, I would just like chug a bottle of water and then greet the next group. Everyone was real excited to play. There were people waiting around trying to get in on the demos. But it was just a lot of fun. Answering people's questions. Everyone gets really excited. I love it when groups of friends come in and sit down at the table, because then the friends all start trying to screw with each other real hard, and then that's when you can see all the chaos that happens, especially like when stuff like the death trap hits the table.
Yeah.
Dude, I had a team pick on me. I was doing a demo, and the other 3 people, and I was playing in it, because there was the 3 of them showed up, so I was like, yeah, I'll play the demo with y'all. And they conspired to take my whole team out. It was the first game. We've never had a game in playtest where one player had all 5 of their models knocked out in a single round.
No, it almost never happens.
But we saw this happen. Now, it didn't matter. I still came back.
Right.
Because it's Riot Quest. But, I was like, y'all are meanies. So, Riot Quest went over like gangbusters.
Yeah.
We sold so much Riot Quest.
And I was in events basically the entire weekend.
Yeah.
And
did you see a lot?
Yeah, we left a space open. We left like a 6-foot space open on one of the tables on your narrative.
I got to come down after going back to the hotel and showering and relaxing and getting dinner. And I came back down at like 9 or 10, and there was a couple there who were learning to play, and they had all their stuff out, and they had built all their models, and they had the 5 from the starter set, and then the 5 ones, and they just kind of split them in half. And they were just getting started, and I sat down with them, and I walked them through the whole game. We had a great time.
And we had a couple of players that just kind of camped out a couple of nights after they bought their stuff. And one guy was teaching the game to various people cycling out from his friend group and other people he knew. And it was pretty consistent, especially Thursday and Friday night, of people just sitting around building their models, trying their first game, and that kind of stuff.
What was really cool was the response was so positive.
Yeah.
Like everyone who played the game was either like, they didn't play any of our games, and they're like, this is a ton of fun. They played our game casually, and they were like, this is a ton of fun. Or they were a very competitive War Machine player, and they played it, and just flat out I heard, I didn't expect anything out of this game, but it was good.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's kind of a weird compliment to receive, but at the same time, nobody played it and was like, this is trash, right?
Yeah.
And I was watching like Chuck Ellswick and Isaiah from Minority Report podcast playing, and like they're more competitive guys playing it and like having a blast and like talking about the different stuff they were doing. So it was cool to see the game being played by all levels of skill and people that sort of interact with different types of games and having a good time.
One of my favorite comments was people were expecting it to be all gritty and dark because it's the apocalypse.
No.
And I got a lot of comments from people that would go by the booth and come down to events and just say, wow, it's really colorful. I was expecting like depressing and dark and everything's faded and, but it's so colorful and bright and like light that it will really bring in people that are just looking for a fun, casual, like, sit down, roll some dice game. They don't have to think about, oh, it's so depressing, everyone's dead. So it's got a lot of interesting things going for it that we haven't presented in a game in that exact way before. Yeah.
Nixu on Twitch says, is there a plan for a 2-player box in the future? Not at the moment, but I actually do want to talk about some of the stuff coming up for Riot Quest that not all of you have seen yet. We've got a couple cool little previews to show. Some of it you've seen, some of it you haven't. So Wave 1 ends in September, and then Wave 2 starts in October with Captain Crawtooth, Butcher, and Wolf of No Name. They're the beginning of Wave 2.
Yeah.
So a couple things you're going to see in Wave 2, I believe it's Wave 2, is Leadfoot and Treads. Tony, do we have the 3D render of Leadfoot and Treads?
We do.
I know people have seen the concept art, but I don't know if people have seen the actual model 3D render yet of Leadfoot and Treads, ye old pig tank. And for those of you who don't know about him, when you make the model, you can make it hatch up or hatch down. For Riot Quest, it has no effect. You're playing Leadfoot and Treads.
Yeah.
But for the War Machine rules, the character version is Leadfoot and Treads with the hatch up, and that's Leadfoot at the top.
Yeah, it's like the Rayless, how you can build it with the Warcaster popping out or not.
Yeah.
And so you can have multiple pig tanks in your army, one of which is the character, and the other ones are just pygmy tanks.
And if you do the hatch close, it's just the character one.
Yeah.
I do love that it's doing a wheelie.
Of course.
I love that he's pointing, and it's hard to see, but Treads is in the front. Like on the model, just under the snub-nosed cannon, there's a little guy whose head's just popping up, and he's got a pair of goggles and his hands on the pair of little levers, and that's Treads down there. But I love that the tiny snub-nosed tank is doing the wheelie.
You could also model it with like smoke and a bullet coming out because it almost looks like it's kicking back from firing.
Or
its
like
gun.
a Bluetooth microphone that just plays Pump Up the Jam the whole time.
That was one thing you didn't mention I was surprised about in the narrative event is the guy who had hollowed out the base of his Minos shrine.
And it was playing
had church music.
It was playing church music.
He had flickering LEDs in the torches on it too, but it was like monk chanting or whatever was coming out of the shrine.
Yeah.
The entire time. It was pretty awesome.
Let's answer a couple questions before we move to the next one. John Crimmins on Facebook says, will there be an Oblivion tournament kit with faction coins? No, we're not doing a release event for Oblivion this year. Is he a minion Trollblood partisan? The pig tank is a minion that is a Trollblood partisan.
Mm-hmm.
And that's both the character version and the non-character version.
And they're solos.
Yeah, almost everything is a
And
solo.
he's larger base, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
and those are 50 mil,
Yeah.
50 mil tanks.
There's not going to be very many 50 mil models in Riot Quest, but there are a few.
Helga on wheels, the 4 horsey mans,
Yeah.
and Leadfoot and Treads are, I think, the first 3.
Yeah.
50
There might be
mils.
something we're totally forgetting, but
He wouldn't
that-
forget it.
No, I
He knows.
think that's the 3
Yeah,
in the first 30.
I
think
First
you're right.
32.
Yeah.
Anyway, next model we want to show people that may have not seen yet is MacHorn 2. So Boss MacHorn. She's on a 40 mil base. This is MacHorn from MacHorn and the Devil Dogs, and she is now on her own, and she has herself a custom Ironhead suit with retractable rocket fists.
Yep.
My favorite detail on that model is that she's got the little bear on her
Yeah.
left hip. The
Yeah.
little stuffed thing. We didn't talk. Sorry, Leadfoot and Treads in Riot Quest. He's a gunner,
Yeah.
but the cool thing is he's a close range gunner.
Yeah.
Unlike the other gunners that want to hit you from far away, he wants to get up in your face and shoot you point blank. And then he has a rule in Riot Quest called Ride Along that says he can grab friendlies and then drag them along the arena and drop them off. So he's like high mobility / point blank shooting. Boss MacHorn is a guard hero. She's all about protecting others, but she also has long range melee attacks, so more than one hex away. And she's all about positioning. She can grab people and throw them.
Yeah, she's got those giant arms. She
Yeah.
can toss people around.
And they're retractable.
Yeah.
So she can pick up models, either friendly or enemy, and then place them multiple spaces away. So if you're like, someone needs a head start on a run, or like you've got like a Black Bella in your middle of your crew, or a Butcher in the middle of your crew tearing people apart, Boss MacHorn can walk up, throw them, and then because she has the range, throw them, and then punch them from that far away with the rocket fists. But I love this model.
Yeah.
My
That model
God.
really cool.
And I love the pose, and it's very classic Ripley, Aliens, power loader. She's just inside that giant suit, just ripping things apart. The Mighty Get says, is it a bear or a little stuffed devil dog? I believe it's a little stuffed devil
Yeah,
dog.
it's got a little classic pointed devil tail you can barely see there.
So the next thing I want to talk about is one of the first expansions that's coming out for Riot Quest, which is going to be, before you show it, Tony, I want to talk about what all is in it. It's the Spawn Gate expansion. So this is going to be the first, all the hero expansions come with a hero stat card and a Riot gear card. The Riot gear cards are all neutral. They don't have to be played with the hero you get them with. You can play them with the other heroes. But there's going to be bigger box expansions that come with new gameplay materials. So the first one's going to be the Spawn Gates. So in that expansion, you get a new bounty deck, which is the way you score VPs. It's basically the way you win the game, which is different than the core set. You're going to get 6 Spawn Gate pre-made plastic miniatures. These don't come on a base. They're flat-bottomed, and they're meant to add a 3D element to your Riot Quest maps, so it makes it very easy to see where the Spawn Gates are. Also, they just look really cool.
Yeah.
In that box, you also get the Weird Wendell model. He's a hero that is the little nerdy guy who has a backpack full of gremlins, and he shoots gremlins on a slingshot at people.
Yep.
And you'll get his hero card and his gear card. And we've got some of the models to show here.
Yeah.
So this is our production model of Weird Wendell. He's not inked yet, so I know the details are a little hard to see. We just wanted to have him out here for sort of scale.
Yeah, it's
So
an
this-
iris for scale.
This is a factory sample of the gate. It is it's a plastic. It's a little bit bendy.
And this is what it comes like when you buy the box. You'll get
Yeah,
6
yep.
of them in the box, by the way.
6 assembled gates. This is an Eris for scale, so that's Eris from the starter box. And then this is Wendell with his little slingshot gremlin, so you can...
Now, we just got this production model again.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not inked yet, so we know that some of those details are going to be hard to make out on
So
camera.
you can see the gremlin's ears, like, against my...
Yeah, he's being fired by the
he's
slingshot.
holding on to the slingshot. He's He's going to get launched across
Show
the
the
table.
backpack.
Yeah, and his
Backpack's
back
Oh, yeah,
his
and he's
backpack
got
is crawling with gremlins.
Yeah,
There's
he's
just
got a backpack
ton of
full
them
of
in
stuff.
there. But these are really cool. The spawn gates, because like I said, this is what you get when you buy the box. It's like in this blue plastic, by the way, because the spawn gate spaces are blue in Riot Quest. They don't need a base at all. They just come flat like that, so they just sit
Yep.
as is. They'll be usable in Riot Quest. And when we've been playing with them, because it's Riot Quest is a board game. It's a hobby
Yeah.
miniatures board game. But being able to add 3D elements is a cool piece of bling.
Yeah.
And B, it's a fun visual aid. Like when you're looking for the spawn gates on the map,
Yeah.
just having them be 3D elements makes it look really, really nice. And the cost of this box, while not finalized, is going to be less than the starters. The starters are $50. So this expansion box is going to be, I would say, significantly less than that. I don't have a final price yet. I would imagine somewhere probably in the 30-ish range for 6 spawn gates, a hero, and all the cards.
Yeah.
So and that's the kind of expansions we're going to do. In addition to new maps, we have the pirate chest, the pirate ship map coming out really, really soon. So let's get to a couple questions. Karchef says, will there be a card library for Riot Quest and Monpoc? I know we're not planning one for Riot Quest.
So I'm working on one for Monpoc, but the website overhaul, all that stuff needs to get done before we can add new pages to the website. So I want to do a card library for Monpoc for anybody who loses their cards or whatever, and people that are shopping and want to know what a model does before they buy it if they're not at a store. But right now we're waiting on the website's other bits and pieces to be fully brought up to the brand new website status before we can add more pages, because of the work that all the reformatting entails
And
is time consuming.
if there was a Riot Quest one, it would be after Monpoc.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
why it's not currently on the plan. Ty Guy says, what are some of the rules of the models you showed us as far as the War Machine counterparts go? I'll tell you that Weird Wendell shoots gremlins at people with his slingshot, and they have very similar effects to the gremlin swarms as if they started next to him. Also, when he dies, you replace him with a gremlin swarm.
Yeah,
they pop out of the backpack.
He's got him on his person, so they just get free.
If I'm not
They're
mistaken,
like kind of different effects that you get when you shoot them, but there's kind of like that kind of fun, randomized, like weird gremlin magic is disrupting things kind of
yeah.
nonsense.
And if I'm not mistaken, he costs either the same points
costs-
or
he's
1
4
point more. Yeah, he's 1 point more than a gremlin swarm.
Yeah.
So basically, you buy him, you get all of his utility, and then he dies, and you get a free gremlin swarm.
At your point, that's when your opponent kills him, not when you run up and.
Yeah, obviously your opponent, when you just do like that,
Yep.
He's like a reverse dragoon. Kind of.
he is like a reverse dragoon.
Yeah.
And he's a partisan Grimkin.
Yeah.
He's a
Yeah.
he's a merc minion, I believe, who's a partisan Grimkin.
That sounds about right.
Check.
Yep.
Striker 911 says, what was your favorite Gen Con moment?
Well, you go first.
I kind of said it earlier. The super positive response to Riot Quest was overall my favorite part. What about you?
My favorite was Clay. I think his name is Beetle something. Clay, I don't know if Clay's out there.
Clay Beetle sounds like an enemy you fight in Final
It
Fantasy.
does. But Clay's a old school Monsterpocalypse player that has come back to the second edition of the game and is super excited. He's playing Apes again because that was his favorite faction before. And he has the old faction logo tattooed on his shoulder from 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have anything on this shoulder.
Yeah. So
He's planning on getting the new Empire of the Apes faction logo
awesome
on the opposite shoulder. And he was just so excited to be playing Apes again that it was great talking to him and seeing his games. He had a fully painted, I think he had a couple of G-Tanks in there, but it was pretty much all apes. And it was all really well painted, and he played in a couple of events. He was super excited. So I like that the game is appealing to brand new people. Like we've mentioned at Lock and Load, we had some people that showed up that had been playing Monsterpocalypse in the last six months or more and didn't even know that War Machine or Hordes existed. They're brand new players to our games. But we're also getting those people who had so much fun 10 years ago with the original version of Monsterpocalypse is what I almost said. But
we told you we were tired.
I know. All those people coming back and getting another chance to play the game and the better miniatures and the more streamlined rules and all those people telling me how much more fun they're having now.
Yeah.
Because they can buy whatever they want, and the rules are a little simpler and that kind of stuff. And seeing, especially the people who had devoted the time and energy and skin to the game back then, getting a chance to play it again is really awesome.
Jeff?
I always just like hanging out with the community. Like, that's my favorite time to hang out with the community. It's like super chill. Everyone's always like super friendly. You gotta get to see old friends and reconnect with them. You gotta make new friends. Like hanging out with Travis, hanging out with Chris Green, Jesse. Yeah, you're just like, and it's like it's like 9 o'clock at night. You wander down into the area. You just sit down at a table with people and you just start kind of shooting the
poop.
Yep.
We can't say the other thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say anything at all. I was just gonna stop there.
You could say shooting the poop. So I know we got about 20 minutes left of the stream.
As Tony just like.
Tony, you know how we do. We got about 20 minutes left of the stream, and we do want to get to some of the questions coming up. But we have one more thing we really want to talk about from Gen Con for obviously all the War Machine and Hordes players watching and all the competitive players, and that was the Masters Finals. So our Masters Finals was Chuck Ellswick versus Aaron Whale, and I love look at the mirror match. They're both wearing black shirts. They both got shaved heads. They're both beasts of men that could eat us if they wanted to. And they're like in different positions.
Yeah, this isn't actually two competitors. We couldn't actually find a picture of Ellen, so we just
put a
mirrored
mirror
the
up.
picture. Yeah,
It's just cut and paste.
that's what it looks like.
So congrats to obviously both of them getting the finals. Big congrats to Chuck Ellswick, who won the Champions and the Masters at Gen Con. He pulled off the old Jason Watt from 2 years ago. And won them both.
Yeah, for those who don't know, we run multiple flights, and it kind of,
comes to the Champions is a one run through, and then Masters has multiple flights up to the finals.
Yep, up to the final four, basically. We do on a separate day.
But it was 2 years ago that Jason Watt won both Masters and Champions at Gen Con, and this year Chuck Ellswick won both of them.
Yeah. And there's a question about this was Oblivion themes. Yeah, you can see at the top it says Requisition 3 of 3. So yeah, this event was one of the very, very first events that ran with the new themes.
And that's kind of what we want to talk about. One of the cool things to see, and I know that Jeff got to see a ton of this, and you've actually got some stuff to talk about, is the field was really wide open. Like you saw people trying the list they had been playing pre-Oblivion and just changing it with requisition point. They really didn't change much, and they were very similar.
Well, with what was comfortable.
With what was comfortable. And you saw people just getting weird and trying out new things. We look at Chuck's list, and Chuck's list is freaking awesome, right? Like, it's just a handful of dudes and then Jax, and he's playing Krios 1, man. Yeah. Like, I love Krios 1. That's who I got into the game with back in 2005. And I love this list. Also, he's got Tristan 1 in the list.
Yeah.
And Tristan 1's rocking Adjudicator. Got a Revelator on Sevi 0.
Yep.
Like, this list caught so many people by surprise. And Chuck just went through. I know his other list was a Serenia list, but I think he played his Krios list most of the time.
Yeah.
Aaron's list looks very similar to the kind of list I've seen him play before, but just really refined. Like, he took the tools that Oblivion gave him, and he made some really key tweaks and changed a few things. And Aaron played fantastic all weekend long. But we wanted to show you the lists and how you can see something that's super out there, like Chuck's list, and then something that is familiar but very tuned in and refined, like Aaron's list. And that's what's very exciting about the meta right now, is that it's just cracked wide open. And Jeff, you had some like stats from the event you kind of wanted to talk about a little bit.
Yeah, well, all the stuff that I mostly got was just kind of a curiosity on how people were winning games, which I thought was just kind of an interesting little detail. So this is just collated data from all of the tournament events, so both the Masters Flight, the Champion, and the Champions Finals. And obviously, people are playing in events. They might go 1-1 and drop, or 0-2 drop, whatever they do. They might go 3-0 drop. So obviously, it doesn't collect every single possible permutation of people playing, because it kind of thins down as the day goes. But just kind of as an interesting little factoid, across all the events, there were 36 total assassination victories.
Okay.
There was 38 scenario victories, 10 via clock, aka someone clocked themselves, and then 1 tie, which I don't even want to know about.
We had 1 like actual straight up tie.
Hold on. I should also caveat that there is also a standard deviation of just data entry errors in there too. But yes. There was also a tie. I actually do remember entering that, and someone coming up and me being like, cool, what was your CP? And everybody's just right. So
that's really cool that the amount of assassinations and scenarios was so close.
Yep. This is just So and I think it's kind of interesting is like I think the detail that I noticed was a lot of assassinations.
Yeah.
I know like that's how Chuck won a bunch of his games was kind of popping and dropping people with his Krios. And that's always fun because assassinations are always like a crazy moment in a football game, right? Where something wacky happens. And it's always fun when this weird things happen. I think kind of the big signature assassination that someone explained to me was Chuck like putting Defender's Ward on one of his jacks, running the jack up next to like Sylvester or whoever it was, and then just spamming AoEs on his jack. And he had the Defender's Ward on there so the jack wouldn't die.
That's
and
awesome.
then blast damaging him down and winning like that.
Yeah.
So lots and lots of just like fun moments like that happening. But yeah, basically it was a relatively even spread of assassination to scenario victories. And then, you have the clocking kind of stuff happening, which is totally not normal.
Talking to some of the players, like I heard a lot of them say that list building has been really fun for them, and that a couple players were like, I was talking to Jason Watt, who I mentioned earlier. He was talking about Disciples of Agony. He's on a scoring right now, and he's like, there are so many new options, and there's so much cool stuff to do. I almost don't even know where to start.
And then and there's a lot of people who were talking about, a really wide scenario now where we have the zones on the sides, and lots of conversations coming up with people who are coming up reporting their games and being like, "Oh, I totally changed the way I had to think about things because I was over here and my opponent was over there, whatever the situation, or I couldn't hold both zones, or this kind of conversation like that, and how it was really influencing the way they had to approach the game." As opposed to kind of what we've had for like the last year.
Yeah, definitely the changes to Steamroller 2019 and then the changes to Oblivion, we have a very different meta. And there are a lot of people being like, well, what's the best thing? What's the best thing? And it's like, we're not going to know for some time.
It's been a week and a half for one thing.
I like Monday and Tuesday, people were like, oh, hey, like what's the best list or things? And like people are like, dude, there's been a tournament. Or like two, there's like the Welsh Masters or Scottish Masters or whatever happened over the weekend too, something like that. And people were like,
Now to me is the most exciting time. Like, as somebody who plays, I play a lot of different games, and as somebody, I play some collectible card games, right? And when a new set comes out and there's like a rotation shift and it's that new meta, those opening like few weeks to a month where you were just trying out different decks, I think we're in that right now for a War Machine.
Yeah.
But on a much bigger scale because we're effectively just Legacy. Everything's available. So like, if you're playing right now or if you're thinking about getting in playing, I think this is one of the best, most up and down, roller coastery, fun, experimental times you can play War Machine. Just do what you want. Build a list, try it out. When it doesn't work, change something because nobody knows what's good right now.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what's bad right now. Go have fun.
Well, that's one of the things we identified as problematic with the version of Theme Forces before Oblivion, was they were a little bit too much on rails.
Yeah.
They said,
We got solved
if you
too quickly.
want this benefit, take these models. And if you want to push the benefit as far as you can, you don't have room for other models. You can't experiment. You can't be like, well, what happens if I put this guy in? Well, there's no room for that guy.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
it's- to get the maximum benefit, you have to do this. And so now that the benefits are just based on the size of your game. So nobody has to be like, well, I didn't build my army as perfectly, so I didn't get as many benefits. You just get the benefits the same as everybody else. So you can really throw around, like Chuck's list is lots of warjacks and a couple of models running them.
Yeah.
Like there's no infantry really in there that would have gotten him points in some Theme Forces or whatever. And he could still put his 3 free models in without having to worry about exactly what
And he could
hoops
just-
he was jumping
He
through.
can just throw whatever he feels like it, right?
Yeah, and you can still play those lists you've been playing. Like we talked about with Aaron, like you can still play the exact same list you've played for years.
Or tweak them. Like, and
But
I think
they're
Aaron's
so
tweaks are
easy
really on
to-
point.
Yeah, they're so easy to slightly tweak, or to just throw out the entire list and start from scratch and just see what interesting things you can do with whatever models you want.
So before we get into a little questions for Everybody Live, I do want to let everybody know, we just got back from Gen Con. We have gotten a lot of War Room bug reports on just little things,
Yeah.
like this thing's not in requisition, this thing's not attaching correctly. We're spending this week, the dev team, going in and fixing those things.
Yep.
If you've had any strangeness with War Room, we're hoping you should see regular updates throughout the week on your War Room app, in the app itself, as we push through the different fixes. Thank you for being patient with us.
Yeah.
Obviously at Gen Con, we couldn't take care of it.
Yeah.
So
So for example, Enix Malachite in Facebook has a comment about the Wasps need to be able to go on the Beast Mistress and Legion.
That'll
That is a
get
great
fixed.
thing. Just do us a favor. Just use the bug report feature in War Room that like literally goes directly to an email box we have, and then we're gonna start just chopping away at it.
And until it gets fixed, like don't send multiple bug reports. But until it gets fixed, send bug reports. Like don't think, oh, 5 other people have probably said something about that, because you never know if someone's not building a list in some specific way and hasn't seen this one little thing. Like,
But some people like.
some people send the same bug report 10 times in a row.
There's one of the theme forces you could take a rack as your free model versus like 6-point solos. And someone sent me a bug report and they were like, racks are not available as requisition. And I was like, you're right. I'm going to fix it.
If you really want that option.
But why are you taking that as your one free option? I love you. You do what you want.
Yeah, and we make those because we enter all that data ourselves. So we make those little mistakes of subconsciously you're like, well, no one would ever take a rack as their requisition thing because that's just silly. So yeah, that's what the bug report.
Please use that bug report feature in War Room. Don't just post on Facebook or do things here, because that's where we're gonna make sure we have a catalog of things to go through.
So let's get to some questions. First off, there's one that has been spammed in chat by Ashberry137 for a while now. Will there be any more Iron Kingdoms RPG support? So there is stuff coming that is going to be for RPGs. We're not in a position to talk about it right now. So as soon as we can give you more information, we will. Because it's definitely too early to even hint or tease at what we're doing. But we've got
something in the works.
I'm a huge RPG player.
Yeah.
I know that you very much enjoy RPGs. You're playing a Legend of the Five Rings RPG. There is RPG stuff happening, but we need to have it more concrete and detailed to be able to provide you information. Yeah. Otherwise, it's just going like it's too early. So stuff is coming. You'll see.
We're not going to talk about the convergence things, like the end of the video at Lock and Load. There's a big convergence symbol in the sky, and it's like the convergence is doing something. Yeah. We're not going to talk more about that until we get closer to that. Like we're on Oblivion right now. That's the teaser at the end of the Oblivion kind of chunk, and that's the big thing right now. And we're not anywhere near those models being in CID and stuff. So we're going to save. We'll talk about them before you guys see the rules for them and stuff. But we're a little ways away from that. So that's the spoiler we're not going to give you yet.
Jacob Collins says, what advice would you give to people who feel hard done by the recent Oblivion changes? I don't know what feeling hard done means.
Well, there were some shifts here and there. We combined a couple of themes. We played around with some of the benefits. We took away a lot of the advanced move and extra deployment range. And so if that was where your comfort level was, you just have to adjust a little bit. And if that's what you're talking about, then that's the reality of the shifting of everything around. Sometimes the thing that you were the most comfortable with, because I get to advance move this one model, and it's like my opening move every time. Then you just have to kind of play around and see what else works.
Yeah. Is that a saying? Hard done?
It might be a foreign saying.
I am old.
I feel like it's something I've kind of heard in a movie once with an accent.
Do we have any info on what's coming next for CID? Yeah, we've kind of teased and talked about a lot. Basically, as we've kind of been saying, we have some convergence stuff in the pipeline. Yeah. However, the Oblivion releases, the release schedule for that kind of goes out till basically the new year, essentially.
Yeah.
So that means that the convergence stuff should be kind of somewhere after that, which means that CID should be sometime before that.
Yeah. Somebody says, how are Riot Quest sales going? Well, Riot Quest is hitting store shelves next Friday.
Yep.
Yes.
It went really well at Gen Con. We sold so much. And for those of you that weren't at Gen Con looking to get it, by the way, 1 week from this Friday, it's at your local store. You can probably still go pre-order with your LGS. And if you just need to know more, riotquest.com has the full website, which has a video tutorial. So it's 13 minutes to teach you how to play the game. It also has the full rules PDF. So if you just want to go read the rules, they're available for free at the very bottom of the page at the bottom right.
Yep. It also has a gallery of all the Wave 1 models.
It has a gallery of all the Wave 1 models. But based on the response we got at Gen Con, we're expecting to see a lot of people picking this game up. So definitely check with your local game store and make sure they're getting it in. make sure they've got some coming for you, and not just the core box. Try and pick up a couple Wave 1 models. I think you definitely want to pad out your crew a little bit.
Yeah, and you want some flexibility in general.
Yeah.
Because like you were talking about, you had 5 models and you got ganged up on and all of them were in the cooler. Now that means you have a greater chance of getting them back out of the cooler because every model gives you one more die to roll, and so that can come back out. But often, like one of my favorite cards is in that first wave, the Transmutation Elixir. Is that the name of it? And that card is just swap your model for somebody on the bench.
Turn somebody in the arena into somebody in the bench.
Yeah, and so it's an awesome thing to have like a couple of extra models, especially if you've got you're like, oh, all the bounties are combat right now, so I really want to get another fighter on the table.
Right.
And like as more models come out, you'll be able to play around with the mix and match of classes. Like I want to see those games where someone's like, I brought all rogues. Every one of my guys is a rogue. I mean, we're a ways away from that yet, but it's those kind of things. And so having that depth on your bench will be more and more valuable as more and more gear cards and combos and the new bounty deck that's in the gate expansion and those kind of things. Yeah.
There's like 4 things I want to try and rapid fire hit on. DGC says, can we expand CID testing to being a few months instead of a few weeks? No. We don't have, we just don't have the manpower to do that. We've got too many other things going on.
And it also probably just disrupts the community too much.
Well, and there's also a big drop off. Like a bunch of people jump in early. They're all excited. We get some solid, continuous feedback, and then the longer it lasts, the less people.
Yeah, eventually, it'll just be like me and a person on the forums.
Yeah. So we've been tuning the CID process for this entire time, and we've got to the point where we're sometimes they'll be a little longer, and they probably won't be any shorter than any we've done recently, but they won't be like a month or longer.
Yeah.
In general.
And on the subject of the thing, someone was asking about legacy models in the upcoming. There probably will be a couple, but as we've been drilling down on CID being much more of a laser focus on the new releases.
Oswald Dog says, who should my store contact if they're having a difficult time ordering PP product? You can contact either retail support at privateerpress.com, no spaces, or front desk at privateerpress.com. We'll get you the right people. If your store tells you they can't get a hold of a product, definitely contact us and we will do everything we can to help get that product to you. We don't want you to miss out on any opportunities. And the other one, Enix says, I'm getting Riot Quest just for the usable models for War Machine and Hordes. And then a couple people afterwards saying it's a solid game, it's tons of fun, you should try it. Enix said something that I actually heard a lot of at Gen Con, and that was what I was talking about. A lot of people came and demoed the game, and they're like, I was just picking up the models of playing War Machine.
Yeah.
They're like, I'll try it out. And then they played it, and they were like, holy hell, this game is a lot of fun. And then I saw a lot of these competitive War Machine players in the Iron Arena playing it on their own later on.
Yeah.
So even if you are of the mindset that you're just getting the models for War Machine and Hordes, try it. Play the game. Turns out you might have fun. Maybe you don't like it, because I'm not saying the game's for everybody. It's definitely not for everyone. It is casual party chaos. It's Smash Brothers is what it is. If you don't like Smash Brothers with the items turned on, you're probably not going to like Riot Quest. If you do, you're probably going to like Riot Quest. So give it a shot. Also, we got another email you can contact to touch back to the person saying they're having trouble getting product. You can also contact trade sales at privateerpress.com. Again, no spaces, one word.
Yeah.
So, do y'all have any more you want to hit before we get out of here?
There's been a question about the future of Monpoc. We've talked a lot about the future of Monpoc, and we're going to wait until we have a few more new things like renders and stuff to show off before we talk about exactly what's happening. But like the solicitations coming out, I think this week for November, I believe. So you'll be able to see on Facebook and all that stuff the November renders and those kind of things. And then maybe in another week or 2 or 3, whatever, we'll grab some other stuff that people haven't seen yet and talk about Monpoc.
Yeah, we've shown a lot of Monpoc stuff, basically.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to rapid fire hit a bunch of these before we get out of here. Does that mean Steamroller is Melee? No, that means Steamroller is more like Tekken. Do you think Riot Quest models will unbalance the game? No. Any info about Anniversary Horde's 0 Lesser Warlocks? There are none planned at the moment. They're not coming this year. If they do come, it would be next year at the earliest. Kirk Beck asks, will Riot Quest count towards Iron Arena points in the future? I think it absolutely should.
Yeah.
And I think that hits all the main questions we wanted to get. So it is lunchtime.
Yeah, any of, back to that last point, any of our games you play in the Iron Arena count.
Yeah.
Like, Any of them. The board games, all that stuff is in the Iron Arena system. So you just walk up, report your stuff, and you get your points for whatever game you play.
I think there's also one question I think is kind of worth reiterating. We've talked about this a lot in the last kind of like basically month in the lead up to Oblivion, which is when do you plan to push the next dynamic update? We've been very public in that we release a dynamic update with Oblivion. Now we're going to let the game and the meta and the community settle for several months.
While we keep doing our own internal testing
Yeah,
as well.
we're going to keep fiddling with things and looking at things. We're going to see how the community develops, where they take theme forces. Once we have a good amount of data from both our internal play testing, paying attention to tournament results, just seeing what people are playing the game casually and having fun with and what they like and don't like, then we'll kind of redress, meet back here at some point in the next 3 to 6 months or whatever. We don't have a date, so I couldn't even give you a date if I had one, and maybe start doing some more cool balance stuff.
Yeah. And also, we really want to get Oblivion in everyone's hands.
Yes.
We sold hundreds of copies of Oblivion.
But it doesn't actually come out till
people
like
at Gen Con. But the wider community
next month
doesn't have it. And anybody who is just like, I'm on War Room, I have the theme forces now, and I can play with it. That's only been a week and a half. So we want to give people time to digest everything before we do any kind of dynamic update about, even clearing up some possible like errata type stuff. Because we want to make sure it's in everyone's hands and we get feedback across all the channels from everybody that's playing it, and not just people that got it at Gen Con or whatever.
Sure. So our hour's up, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you want to hang out with some more, join tomorrow for Get Your Paint On with Jordan
Jordan's
Lamb.
back.
He's going to be painting Widget from Riot Quest.
Heck
I'll
yeah.
actually be on that one.
Cool.
And we'll talk about Widget's rules. I mean, you've already seen them all, the War Machine version there in War Room right now. We'll talk about her in Riot Quest, and we'll see the model in person. Thanks for hanging out. Sorry if we didn't get to all of your questions. We'll be doing this again next week, and we will see you all then. Till then, take it easy. Goodbye.
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 Stealth Pig.
He's invisible.
Where'd you find him at?
A party store. They sell him.
You blew my
They
mind.
sell him
when
in
you
Yes,
figured that
me
out.
too.
They sell him in every.